Hello guys, and welcome back to Strategic Command World War II, World at War with our Allied playthrough. On the last episode, we had quite an eventful turn happen, and we covered most of the European theater. We are going to focus on tackling the Asian theater here in China, and see what the Axis have in store for us next. There's a lot of very interesting things happening. First, before I do that, I noticed I actually forgot to do two things with the UK last episode. Number one, this Cumberland heavy cruiser still needs to get up into position with the rest of its friends, and there's a destroyer up here as well. So we're gonna sail that, maybe lingering a little bit closer to the side of the UK, just for safety. And we'll take this destroyer, and we won't move it all the way, actually. We'll leave it just kind of next to the cruiser, kind of serving as an escort as it makes its merry way over to the rest of the UK fleet, which is pretty unified except for some submarines that are off doing their own thing. But with that aside, we have a lot to look at in China. A lot happened here. We've been seeing great success, great ahistorical success in this theater that I am so happy about, given how Europe is going. The Japanese are hardly able to keep their units up to strength. It seems that they're having trouble keeping their cities behind them garrisoned. Sadly, we haven't seen any partisan effects helping us there. We've seen tremendous success in the south, reclaiming not just one, but two ports. China has ports now. Guys, this is crazy. And the main Japanese offensives have pretty much slowed down. Not only that, we have two new units for China, a garrison that I ordered manually, and an anti-air that I ordered manually. These will be of great help. The garrison will help free up an additional corps, probably, from the rear, and the anti-air will help with our disadvantage in the air, seeing we only have one fighter unit and nothing else, and they're just bombing the shit out of us on every front. But there is a lot to look at here, so we're going to look at these things one at a time. Unfortunately, the fortifications aren't done yet, so that'll probably be done next turn, probably in the middle of this upcoming turn, I believe. In the south, let's start from the south, where we have a lot of really good things happening. So, we just pushed past Nanning, and we took this port of Pakoi. There is now a first corps here that is trapped on this island. However, he is across a little bit of a crossing, so attacking him is not easy. As you see, if we do attack with an army, by the way, attacking a corps, which does unfortunately have upgraded infantry weapons, we would lose one and kill none, according to this report. And I don't have any infantry upgrades right now. We are researching infantry warfare and infantry weapons upgrades. We are researching, but we cannot get any upgrades right now. So that is unfortunate. First thing we're going to do is we're going to reinforce this corps that's in the rear behind this army. Ideally, what we can end up doing is simply swapping out and having the corps stare at each other from across the way, because this corps is also entrenched, by the way. If we can entrench our own corps here, that would be fantastic. Hell, even if we just leave the corps here, and then the army just leaves, that would work as well. But this corps is a little bit damaged. I'm not so sure I want to leave it here. We'll figure that out later in the turn. What we do have to look at as well is this army. This Japanese army was actually losing its men to attrition, because we completely cut all of its supply lines. A whole army with infantry upgrades. That is crazy. So that's so good. We even pushed over here and took a Moy and found a corps here with its pants down. However, one of the enemy armies, a Korean army, has decided to push forward since our zone of control by Henyang is not maintained. And as a result, it's actually gotten behind these fortifications that have been holding them off. But if this is all the maneuvering that we have here, we can see the enemy forces here are limited. Now, they're limited, quote unquote, but they're all armies, so that is something to take into account. So this Korean army is a problem. We're going to have to deal with it. But I believe I know how to do that. The army here at Changsha is going to move off Changsha. Going to move up. And it's going to engage these fuckers. This Korean army. 1 to 3, not so bad. Let's go ahead and engage. We actually ended up taking no damage whatsoever and dealing at least 3, pushing those fuckers back. This army is not entrenched, and it is not having a good time. That's really, really good for us. I'll figure out what to do with that army and everything else momentarily. One thing I know I want to do is I want to take this opportunity to reinforce everyone north of our southern offensive that can be reinforced. Make sure they're up to strength. We don't want any more offensives here. Our prior offensive has had the intended effects. Alright, that's all of them reinforced. Oh, wait, let's not forget about the fighter. Fighter also needs to be reinforced. Cool, so now let's continue focusing on the south. So this army, killing this would be of great assistance to us. This corps, first corps, sitting on Canton, can get some pretty good damage in on it. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to attack. Alright, we dealt 2, we lost 1 by the looks of it. Yeah, we weren't supposed to lose any, but we lost 1. What are you going to do? Next up, we'll take the 5th Corps and attack from where it is. Dealt 3. We got 3 kills with the 5th Corps. We lost 1. This is going fantastically. What I'm going to do from here is I'm going to take the 5th Corps and I'm going to move them to the north a little bit. Into the mountains, still in the mountains, just next to the enemy army. Just to get them out of the way, but kind of keep them surrounding, because there might be some bonuses from doing that. The Corps sitting on Nanning is going to move across the river into the mountains where the 5th Corps just was, and is going to attack. And, beautiful, national morale bonus, no losses taken. We just wiped that army off the fucking map. That is beautiful. It looks like we actually do need to, like, step out here to claim this stuff. Instead of it automatically being claimed. It could be automatic next turn, but I don't really know, to be honest. So, I'll go ahead and I'll just kind of move there myself. And claim the stuff. And then, okay, and then that claimed with our offensive movement by the looks of it. Alright, cool. So that's all figured out now. That's good. We're good. An entire Japanese army upgraded, wiped out, small numbers. We're talking small numbers for the national morale, but the higher China's gets and the lower Japan's gets, the more of an effect we're going to start seeing down here. One thing that's becoming plainly obvious is that the Japanese have their weakest defenses in the south and directly in the north. The center is their lifeblood, so we need to make them feel some imminent fear, let's say. So one thing I'll do here is I'll take this garrison I made, and I'm going to put it over here at Nanning. This is now the garrison of Nanning, the garrison that will protect Nanning. It's the first garrison, but it is also the garrison that will protect Nanning. Meanwhile, the garrison at Kweichow, which is now secured on both sides, is going to start walking down the road, because what I'm going to intend to do here is as I push south, we're not going to need an army or even a corps defending Changsha. So we're going to send this garrison east, since Kweichow is pretty much secured. The garrison will become the new garrison for Changsha when it gets there, as our offensive, hopefully, continues to roll up towards Shanghai and Nanjing. I think it's pretty clear. I mean, I could take the risk and just start trying to beat the readiness and morale out of this corps. But so long as it's sitting on Haikou, it's going to be very difficult to attack across this river with no naval or aerial or artillery support to actually uproot it. So unfortunately, I think it's probably best for me if I just let them keep this port for now. So I'm actually going to take this army, and I'm going to move it back. And we're on a road. We cannot actually operationally move. But what I'm going to do here is I'm going to move it right here in between Nanning and Pakoi. If they're brazen enough to leave their fortifications and cross the river up to Pakoi, I can then hit them. Because right now I'm leaving them a tempting target, a freshly refreshed, low readiness, low morale enemy. Pretty much equivalent, but without the upgrades. And, you know, not really entrenched. So if we can trick them into getting off Pakoi, we can hit them with the corps and with the army. That's my hopes. If they sit there, oh well, they sit there. It's something that they have to worry about. If we can get that supply, if we can get that port, that would be ideal. I just don't have the support resources to deal with that right now. We do also have the anti-air to deliver. And almost all the air is focused in the center, with the north being more of a problem than the south. Both of these are max entrench 3s. So what I think I'll do here, we want to get as much coverage in the south as possible due to where the enemies are located. The anti-air is not as mobile as the fighters, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to put this right there. So now we have an anti-air here that can intercept twice, maybe not this turn. Maybe it'll be different when we hit end turn and it's their turn, but it'll sit right here where it's going to be safe. Now, I believe we have a lot of mobility down here in southern China, especially as I place garrisons to free other units that end up pushing the front. So, even though what I'm about to do is pretty fucking dangerous, I'm going to take this 9 strength corps. I'm going to march it across the river into the field where this group just was. We unfortunately cannot actually get any good damage onto it right now. That sucks. However, given that it is at half strength, it is not in much position to fight either. Our corps that pushed up to Amoy is in low supply because the supply over here is not that great. We just got here. Supply spread hasn't been too great. I don't fully know how to read the supply map, but it looks like if I double tap S that this is going to get a little more supply as of next turn, which is good. So we're going to go ahead and we're just going to attack this anyway, even though there's no real predicted good or bad ending. We attacked, yeah, and nothing definitive really happened. Maybe one or both of us lost readiness and morale, but while they're still not fully entrenched and while they're still weak and scared, this is, in my opinion, good to do. It keeps them hopefully scared, hopefully. And then with the third corps here, they should hopefully be scrambling. I don't know what they have at Fuchao, but hopefully it's nothing too strong. This army is going to go back into Changsha just in case. You know, just in case, just to sit on this national morale objective before the garrison gets here. But eventually, this army and all these defenses are going to join this massive wave pushing north. And it is my hope, and I'm pretty optimistic, that we can push the Japanese out of China, out of Manchuria, and even out of Korea. And if we can do this as China, that's pretty big. That means Japan has only the naval area where they're going to have any success. They're going to lose all the MPPs and all the training that comes from having all this stuff over here. They'll lose a lot of national morale as well. And if we can win with just China and nobody assisting them directly, you know, the Americans are currently giving them money, but if we can just push the Japanese out of here with just China, in real life, this took the Japanese fighting on 2 different fronts, plus the Soviets opening a 3rd front and invading Manchuria to pull off. We can do this with just China, without even the help of communist China. That's a pretty big deal if I do say so myself. That's game-changing. Game-changing. Now, we're not done in China yet. This army up by Peking has pushed forward again. It attacked, and it did fucking terribly. It's not entrenched at all right now. Our entrenchments are bare minimum. 2-2. That's really not the greatest for how weak the enemy is, but again, as China, we have the numbers. We have the manpower, and with the help of the Americans, we have the MPPs, especially as the allies, to waste. We're going to go ahead and make this offensive, because as we've seen, the Japanese can't keep up with reinforcing all their units. They're stretched thin. So we're going to attack. We killed 2, we lost 3. That's unfortunate. I wish we could have done better. But now the enemy's morale is lowered. They're not in as good of a position, and their zone of control is faltering, and that's a huge fucking deal. I didn't think this would happen, but it did. And now the 5th Army is in perfect position to reinforce the 23rd Army, so it's going to move up into the mountains here. Again, as we can see, it's not going to be the best, but we're going to attack. We lost 1, that's way better than what it said we were going to lose. We dealt 1, I think, and chased them back. That's beautiful. However, now our line here is a little more spread out. It's still fine for right now the way it is. With our success, I doubt there's any chance Communist China is going to join the war naturally because we're losing. But we did have finally some success with one of the chits in moving Communist China towards us. I believe we gained about 6%. So we're going to go ahead and spend another 50 MPP to replace that chit on Communist China with China to keep moving them towards us, because if we can get them, that's just even more assistance that we have in this region, and it's not so bad. We don't have much else to spend on. I'm not going to advance anything over here right now. I'm not going to push forward. I think that's probably a pretty dumb idea. We're going to keep our entrenchments for right now and see how the Japanese react now that they're getting pushed so heavily on so many sides. Finally, due to the great success and mobility we are seeing in China, I'm going to go ahead and purchase one more garrison, the 2nd garrison, for 47 MPPs. I think that's worthwhile. When we get it, I figure it'll be good for protecting something in the front, be it Canton, which could honestly use a garrison or something very important in the rear like Chongqing, as I end up getting enough leeway to move the cores off of Xi'an and Chongqing. I'm just a little nervous to move these. There's no room on these fronts anyway for extra cores. Maybe in the very north from Xi'an there's room. You know, I actually am really tempted to move the one on Xi'an. With the operational inability that the Japanese are showing and the great success that we are seeing, yeah, I could easily move this. 14 MPPs and I could operate it up to the northern front. We really could use more bodies there. It would help. Where does the rail line end? It goes into Japanese territory, so, I don't think the Japanese really have the capability to get back here, even if they had paratroopers. You know, they don't have enough, as I said before, operational capacity. I'm going to spend the 14 MPPs it takes to get this guy up to this front right now. Rather than move anybody out of their entrenchments, I'm just going to put him behind the line so he can just kind of get there, get ready. And next turn, we can be even more offensive. Even though these are cores and we're fighting armies, if we can surround them, that's a huge deal. I don't know what they have at Johol, but they can't leave armies on every city. You know, they must be stretched thin. We have numbers, we have to use it. I don't think Xi'an is in any big danger right now, especially because I have an artillery piece coming that's going to be deployed to this front as well. Seeing as Chongqing's my capital, I'm going to just be... I'm going to exercise a healthy dose of paranoia that they could somehow paratroop over here or something, or get past me, and just leave that one there for right now. But we will eventually end up moving it. If I leave a garrison on any inland location, I feel like the capital is a smart place. I don't know if we're really going to need this garrison at Kunming. It's probably going to be moved eventually, realistically. But until I'm certain what's going to happen regarding Indochina, this is a rail line leading right up to Kunming, 2 national morale objectives and 2 industrial centers. I feel like one garrison here is a little smart. That's another reason why I want something at Nanning. Also because it's near the coast. We need to be sure that we cover our bases. So let's go ahead, and I believe I used this save for the end. Let's save the game because I believe that's everything we're going to be doing for this turn with everybody that we have. So let's end the turn and see what the Axis has in store for us. German forces secure Narvik, Oslo, Trent, Bergen, Stein, Chris. I don't know what any of that crap is, to be honest. British forces mobilize in Egypt, do they? Oh! Holy shit! Italian shipping prepares for war in the Indian Ocean. Italy joins the Axis. Oh, Italy declares war. Oh, France is gonna die. Engineers complete fortress, thank God. Finally, we have a fortress at Dunkirk. Engineers, yes! A Soviet fortress going up. And the Chinese fortress going up, yes! Which isn't even going to be very needed at this rate, you know? UK develops advanced tanks, USA develops logistics level 1, research is finishing. Advanced fighters development for the Chinese, that's good, because we have a fighter. Okay. Lost some MPPs to getting Singapore ready, but UK is collecting a lot of MPPs. France collecting a good amount that it'll probably desperately need upcoming. China still doing well. I love this railway. I hope to God we don't lose this. I feel like we will lose it, but I hope to God we don't lose it. India still happy to pour stuff into the UK. UK needs it more than anybody right now. Well, not as much as France, but we can't pour anything else into France, unfortunately. France isn't researching. They're not doing diplomacy. Everything's just going into stuff. German forces move into Denmark. Uh-oh. And instantaneously took over Denmark. That's unfortunate. Demonstrations against Danish government caused disruptions in Reykjavik. I know, I can guess a historical event that's going to be coming from there. Carrier operations, interceptors. Ooh, we're taking a lot of interceptor damage. Oh, that is so much. No wonder our morale and readiness on that unit is so low. They actually sailed out from the port to engage us. And they're sailing out more. We're dealing a lot of damage for what we're losing. This is actually working out very well. Did they sail out a battleship? That's a battle cruiser, I believe. We're dealing a lot of damage for what we're taking, but this ship's going to have to run. Oh, we have another enemy ship appearing. So we have big naval battles happening. Uh-oh. Enemy contact. Oh my god, we just dealt so much damage to that heavy cruiser, I believe, with a British submarine. That might be one of the ones that was harassing us. Big damage is good. Italian aerial forces getting started. More Japanese air. Oh my god. I think the battleship just died. I think we just lost the British battleship. Uh-oh. Well, we dealt a lot of damage, but they just bombed it out of existence, and that's fucking terrifying. Oopsie. That's not good. Was it worth it? Well, we destroyed a ship or two and dealt a lot of damage to other ships. So I don't really know if it was worth it. The German offensive is pushing. They pushed us out of Sedan. They pushed us out of... That's the BEF army. They pushed it out of the entrenchments in Sedan. And the Italians are moving up with limited success. Going very heavy and attacking us here. They almost destroyed that army again. Tanks pushing up, and the BEF army has just been overrun instantaneously. Oh, dear. Oh, God. This is such mixed results. This is such a mixed bag, man. I don't even know what to think. Like, we have such good things happening, and then we have such bad things happening. We have... Oh, God. My brain. I'm gonna have to analyze this all once this is done. This is insane. Wang Jingwei... Huh? Is that a puppet China? It is. Anglo-French expedition returns from Finland. Okay. We got a French and a UK unit. Operation Valentine to secure the Faroe Islands. Okay. Cool. Norwegian forces damage rail network. Nice. Norwegian batteries inflict casualties on German invasion force. Good. Spain is moving further into the Axis by a lot. They're spending a lot of diplomacy there. Oh, there's a lot to take in. German blitzkrieg continues towards Paris. That it does. The BEF army has been destroyed. The Germans focused everything. They focused everything that they could into destroying the BEF army. And we lost HMS Bodie McBoatface. Oh, man. I really did not expect that. Damn. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Let's see. The expedition we sent to Finland has returned. The troops are now arriving at Inverness in Scotland, where they're being deployed as a Strength 8 Special Forces unit. Yeah, there's one for the French and one for the British. Might be worthwhile sending them to Narvik in Norway to retake the town from the Germans before they are fully able to establish themselves there. It will only cost 10 MPPs, and if Narvik is liberated, our national morale will receive a 500-point boost. We could definitely use that after losing a battleship. Might be worthwhile sending them to Narvik in Norway to retake the town. Okay, well, no, I read that. Being a special forces unit, they could evacuate by sea without requiring a port. Oh, really? Should the expedition prove unsuccessful. If you don't wish to send this unit to Norway, it will remain in Inverness for service elsewhere. Would you like to send this force, codenamed Rupert Force, to attempt to retake Narvik? Let's see. This mission has a fairly low probability of success, and none at all if the French don't also send a force to Narvik. Providing some naval support is recommended, particularly some carriers to launch airstrikes against the German forces defending Narvik. But even so, it will not be easy to take and hold Narvik. I see. Let's take a look here. Why are we in the USSR? That's not where this is taking place. So Narvik. Where's Narvik? Is this Narvik? That's Narvik. All the way up north. I see. Germany is probably given some free garrisons up there at the very least. We would need the French and the British to send their forces over there. Carrier support is something I can just not provide if I'm using my carriers the way I am. Try to fight the Germans in France. France is pretty much guaranteed to fall. I'm gonna say no. I'm gonna say no to this one. Arriving in Scotland, would you like to send it or leave it at Aberdeen? No. No, we're not gonna do that. We're not gonna do that. We're... As much as that stuff would be nice, we're not gonna do it. We got an HQ that we can deploy at Paris. Okay, that's something. So let's look around the map and kind of see what happened last turn. Again, such mixed results. So on the French front, the Germans are pushing through Belgium, no problem. This is unfortunate. The BEF army has been destroyed. I didn't think it would fall that quickly. The Maginot is holding strong. Honestly, looking at this, I'd say if I could have done this again, I actually would have just left entirely cores on the Maginot and just been completely passive there. But if I'm being realistic, all the armies in the world could not have prevented this. But at the very least, maybe it could have made it more difficult, since the Germans focused so little on the Maginot. Rightly so. So I think my initial strategy was probably flawed. I think it's pretty much guaranteed France is going to fall. But this is good learning when we do PvPs, maybe. Although we'd have to react to exactly where a player decided to push. We're learning. At the very least in the south, the Italians are making little to no progress. Even though they're going up against units that have just been brought up to strength and have just gotten their readiness and morale up, the Italians have failed to make like any remote process whatsoever, which is good. We do have an HQ unit that we can deploy to Paris, and so that's actually a pretty big deal. So the Polish Corps does not actually need to sit here. Now, marching the Polish Corps up is probably the stupidest fucking idea that I can do. What we're going to do, first and foremost, the Reserve Corps is going to reinforce itself. The Third Army is going to reinforce itself. We need to start getting units back up to strength. The 6th Corps reinforce. The 1st Army reinforce. We're down to 67 MPPs. Now, I think at this point it's probably suicidal to leave the British Air Force in here any longer. We cannot get them out immediately without operationally moving them, at least not the fighters. The fighters are going to have to take a little bit of a long way to get out. But we're not going to want to keep these guys here. We're not going to want to do that. So, let's go ahead and we're going to end up retreating the Air Force. The tactical bombers will bring over here to Maidstone. They're going to retreat over there. And the strategic bombers are going to go just south of London. The fighters, they have a ways to go. I'm not going to operationally move them. That's expensive, and I don't think the situation's that dire just yet. They're just going to retreat back here towards Cherbourg, where they'll be able to fly out the rest of the way next turn. I think that now that we've done what we can here, it's wise to... You know, we went in, we got some kills, we did some stuff, we lost a battleship. I still don't know if that was worth it or not. Probably not. But, oh well. We're gonna retreat the Belfast light cruiser here to Rosyth, where it can get some replenishments. And everything else over here, we're gonna end up moving back into safer raiding positions. The Valiant battleship is taking a little bit of damage and could also use some repairs and probably some upgrades as well while it's back here. So we'll send that over to Cromarty. Let's send it over there. I swear to God, we did see another ship over here, however. I just don't know where the hell it went. Keep inching my way up there to see if we can find it by any chance. But I'm not seeing it. So we'll leave these ships here with a little bit of a screen, focusing less towards Germany and actually just further up. In fact, I'm going to keep inching my way. See if we might be able to find it. Because we also just need to shift our raiding activities up in general for the safety of our units. Yeah, I'm not seeing it. This is about as far north as I'll go. Creates a northern shield instead of trying to block this off anymore. I don't think that's really necessary with the troops we have everywhere else. Realizing how strong over here by the Maginot is, we're going to make some movements here with the French. So the corps sitting on Chalogne is actually going to move here into the fields north of Paris, as is the Polish Corps, to present a unified front. So if the tank does push forward here, it's not going to make as much progress. It's going to have to chip away at the British corps or something else like that. It's not going to be able to just push through. The engineers are going to sit right where they fucking are and serve as a deterrent, stopping the Germans from curving around and surrounding the remaining British up here, who are going to stay here where they are to fight the Germans, deal some MPP damage, maybe die. I don't know. We'll see. But we're going to have a valiant Paris defense. So we're going to actually deploy that HQ directly on Paris, and that's going to be like the final thing here. Looks like we're getting some more ships as America. We'll deal with that later. We'll take the HQ down here and move it up into Chalogne. It will defend there in the meantime and provide its bonuses from there currently. Try entrenching in the city behind this line, because I don't believe this is the line that's going to fall. I believe they're going to keep trying to push around this way, like kind of curving like they historically did. That's what they appear to be doing. Which means a lot of these armies are going to maybe go to waste, but I hope if I hold them off to the best of my ability, we might see some form of success here. These planes are probably safest by the Maginot. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to spend 28 MPPs to put this Special Forces on a transport. We're going to go ahead and bring that transport down here to Le Havre, where our friendly Brits are. We can't actually disembark there, I guess because the Brits are here, so we'll go over to Cherbourg instead and disembark there. Is my hope to get these special forces into the fight. Just the French ones, by the way, not the British ones. The British ones are going to stay in the UK. British special forces are not going to go die for France, probably. Now, we're not done with any of these countries, but we are out of time, so we're going to tackle the rest of this turn on the next episode. So for now, thank you guys very much for watching. I hope you're enjoying it. This is a really mixed bag. We have a lot of failed strategies in Europe, and then like a lot of really successful ones outside of it so far. It's really weird. It's a great learning experience though, and I can't wait to take all this stuff that I'm learning and all this stuff I'm feeling out and bring it into a PvP against someone one day. Hopefully I can get someone to play it. But, as I said, we will continue this on the next one.